This is a game on the OI, the Tier 6 Japanese Heavy, the new line that just recently came out in 9.10. This is using the 15 centimeter gun on it. It's a little derp gun that has 121 AP pen and 150 heat pen. It actually also has pretty good HE pen. I think it's around 70 or so. 75, and it's pretty good gun because it has enough pen to go against its tier. This is a tier 7 game, but for the most part, most of the tanks here we can pen even with the base AP. The other nice thing about these tanks, other than the fact that they're really big and really slow, they kind of have weak side armor, but they actually have, this particular tank has pretty good gun depression, 10 degrees gun depression over the front. And so we're going to go play this two line area, which we normally play in medium tanks and tanks with good depression, and we should be able to do it to pretty good effect. They don't have a whole lot of armor heavies, which works to our advantage, so it's just a matter of bullying where you can bully. We have 150 armor on the front hull and on the front turret, so as long as we keep our armor facing towards our enemy, we're good. The sides of the tank are relatively weak though, and it only has 70 armor, and it's actually relatively easy to pen it, so it's something that you have to avoid exposing, but otherwise it's a pretty fun tank. So we're going to show you a game where we're looking to bully when we can. We're looking to take advantage of the fact that some of these tanks can't pen us, and we can deal a massive amount of alpha to some of these tanks. And so the situation that we're looking to have is somewhere we can be on a corner or over a ridge where we're relatively protected because there are 2 artillery, and we can use that, the nice depression in the tank, in order to exploit that terrain to our advantage. And so although it takes us a little bit of time, we'll push up through this 2 line here. Our T20 is going to be in front of us. And the T20 is a good tank for this area as well because it does have gun depression and it's got, you know, reasonable speed to get here. And he can play that that ridge relatively well. But he doesn't quite pack the same punch as this tank will. So this tank is very good for playing here. So right now I just have standard AP loaded. And I want to take the inside of this T20 because if I take the outside, then artillery can hit me because I'm really tall. And you'll see that I have to go up here a little bit, but it's going to allow me to get a pretty good AP shot on the side of that 3002D. And our T20 gets a nice little snipe as well. And then there's a long reload. It's about a 20-second reload or so, even with rammer and BIA. And see how I can just sort of stick my turret over? That was not a good position for their SU-122-44 to be, but he doesn't have that great of a shot. He does have 175 base pen, so that he can potentially go through my turret, but again, that's not that great. And they're still pushing some guys across here, but we're getting some shots. And I glanced the side of the 3002D turret there. He does have 120 pen on the turret. And I should have switched to HE right now, but I started loading AP, which was not the right choice. But because if I'm not going to get that great of a shot on the this D, it's a trap, and it almost hits the crown, but. Now I'm loading HE, which I should have done in the previous cycle. And one of the things about this tank is that we do have to manage which shell you load ahead of time, right? So you have to think ahead of time what tanks you want to be into. And I could have killed the KV-85 there with that shot, but I really wanted to get the 3002D down, or at least make him afraid to poke. The KV-85 is really not that much of a threat to me on that side. And our T20 has pushed across now. And so I need to kind of watch both sides now. I need to protect our KV I'm sorry, our T-20, in case these guys YOLO him. But see how they've backed off on that side? So our T-20 is by himself over here. So we know that the 3002D is on this side. We know the 1945 is on this side. So we can push forward here because these guys are playing soft. That's going to allow us to get to the back, which will help out our guys on this northwest corner. And so this is a situation that you've seen. If you watch the stream, you've seen me play this before, where we're going to ignore the 1945 because he's not really hurting our team or holding our team as much as these guys over here. This JP can potentially get into a position to shoot us, but what we want to do is we want to take out this RL because the 3002D is already low. And so the 1945 gets a shot on us. The JP is sitting back here, but I want to make it so that only one of them can shoot me. I don't want to make it so that both the JP and the 1945 can shoot me. If the 1945 shoots me, that's fine. I just don't want to get shot also on the side by that JP. Then I have AP loaded here. And so the JP has come around on that side. See how the T-20 has just come up behind them? So the JP is now going to turn to go after the T-20. Well, what I want to do is protect our T-20 as much as possible because he's in a more delicate flanking position. Unfortunately, I missed their JP there. It was probably like a 70% chance to hit, and that still happens. Which makes it more difficult for our T-20, but you know, luckily the Panther's not in position to pressure our T-20, so it's not an issue.
It's a trap!
And I had AP loaded there, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to aim, so I just snapped it. And then they still have a bunch of guys over here that we're going to have to deal with. But presumably they have not left the base yet because we still got guys down here and they're not lit. So they're going to be in the base. And so what we want to do is these guys are coming along this A line. I never like going along the same line as the rest of my team when I can help it. So we'll go through this BC line. So we see that their 3002M is in the back there, not a problem. And their Cromwell B has relocated up here. So we know where both of the tanks are. So there's a soft spot down this C-line seam where we can just drive through it and not be lit. And then we'll come up either behind the 3002M or on the side of the Cromwell B. Now if I come up through here, the Cromwell can potentially get flank shots on me, but if I come up closer to the Cromwell, then I'll be a little bit more protected. Depends on what the Cromwell does here. And so even though we're relatively slow, the tank actually on, like up hills, on even ground, the tank actually achieves its top speed reasonably well. So the 3002M is a little bit occupied by our guys on the A line, so I'm more concerned about this Cromwell, which we haven't seen for a while. We don't know exactly where their artillery is, but we're going to keep an eye on it. There's an SU-152 that's coming up behind me, so I have some support here if the Cromwell B decides to push over. So we see that there's an already there, but now the Cromwell's coming over, which was not the correct choice. And then all we got to do is just roll back down the hill. And the T-20 is able to take out their 3002M, and our artillery is able to take out their artillery, so it's just the one artillery left. I had already been loading HE, but if I hadn't loaded HE before, I would now for the artillery. Let's speed this up a little bit. There, now we're kicking. And then rather than chase after the artillery, it's better to just get on cap and let him either come to us or lose. And so our T-20 has sort of scouted out this area. He didn't quite go over that hill there, though. You got to go about to where there's a tree over there, but he didn't do it. I didn't really notice that, so I figured that that A0 was clear. And we soon find out that it is not.
It's a trap!
He's going to try to snap though, which the right choice. Alright, so what ended up happening was we played this 2 line. We were able to play it pretty effectively. I should have switched to HE for those kill shots on the 3002D that were there. It's really one of the things that you need to manage when you play this tank is which shell you load. When do you load AP? When do you load heat? When do you load HE? And it's dependent upon what tank you're about to face, really. But otherwise, the superior depression on the tank allowed us to play that area pretty effectively. It was nice that they tried to poke out into us. And then once their team played soft, right, that JP and that Panther played soft when our T20 moved in, that enabled us to come around behind the ARL, which basically freed up our 1 line. Even though we took some shots from the 1945, that's fine. That's worth it to clear this area for our team, because that removes a major obstacle for them. And then we were able to clean up that area, and then it was just a simple matter of finishing off the base. So it was pretty straightforward. And so if we look at the stats, we were able to do 3,000 damage. So we had 8 shots that penned, basically. 11 shots that hit, although a couple of those bounced because of the we were using AP on the 3002D. But for the most part, the damage per shot ratio is very good on the tank, because it does have a large alpha. And so when you're in a game like this where you're essentially top tier, even the tier 7s that they had on the team didn't have a super lot of armor. The 3002D was the turret that we were shooting at was pretty much the hardest armor in that game. And so that's something that you need to keep in mind whenever you're playing this tank and looking at what ammunition can potentially be slung. So anyways, I hope that was helpful for playing the OI in games where you should or can be able to bully, and also showcasing the depression of the tank. And I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.